Hello, BookTube, and welcome to Poetry Thursday. I have a poem I want to read you today and a little bit of talk about it and maybe a rant about it. You've got no Frida on the window there because it's raining here. It's warm, but it's blah and raining, so she is preferring to be right next to me instead of up on her seat on the window. There's nothing for her to look at except her mortal enemy, the rain. So she's been in a couple of videos that I've done today. And I've also had an inordinate amount of Zoom time today, and she's been in almost all of those videos, but you don't get to see those. We have a poem today, and we are once again going back to the Oxford Book of English Verse, the Helen Gardner edition of the Oxford Book of English Verse. And we have that bouncy ball there is my Pluto bookmark. Pluto, never forget. And we have a poem today that is called Sudden Light. And I wonder, it's by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and I wonder if it will echo any feeling that you've ever had, an experience that you've had. I will once again do my limited best to do it justice. I have been here before, but when or how I cannot tell. I know the grass beyond the door, the sweet, keen smell, the sighing sound, the lights around the shore. You have been mine before. How long ago I may not know, but just when at that swallow's soar your neck turned so, some veil did fall, I knew it all of yore. Has this been thus before? And shall not thus time's eddying flight still with our lives our love restore in death's despite? And day and night yield one delight once more? And I want to, first of all, before we start talking about the poem, I want to answer the question, even though poets never ask questions that aren't rhetorical. I'm going to answer the final question anyway. The answer is no. Okay? The answer is no. So what was this? Has this been before? And shall not thus time's eddying flight still with our lives our love restore in death's despite? And day and night yield one delight once more? The answer to that question is no. No, that isn't going to happen. No, that isn't going to happen. But I wonder if you've had this experience, the experience that's categorized, that's described in this poem, where an errant thing, the turn of a neck when a swallow flies by, the movement of a hand, the particular lilt of a laugh has made you think, this has all happened before. To a limited extent, the poet here is probably talking about déjà vu. We've all had that feeling. And we've all seen the famous explanation for it, that it's a glitch in the Matrix, right? In the original Matrix movie. When a character has a feeling of déjà vu, it is explained that when you have that feeling, it's a glitch in the Matrix, running a background program more than once. That's a good science fiction explanation, but actually, the explanation for déjà vu is far more mundane than that, and it shares in common the explanation for everything else about you. There's only one root explanation for everything about you. Everything. And that explanation is the biochemistry of your brain. Okay? Because you are the biochemistry of your brain. Period. End of sentence. Full stop. You are your brain's biochemistry. And there are factors of your brain's biochemistry that can produce in you the feeling that you have seen something before. Naturally, that your brain is capable of producing that feeling because your brain is capable of producing all feelings. Nothing else can produce a feeling. Only your brain can do that. And it's a function of your brain. It's not a function of the thing. It's a function of your brain interpreting that thing, which is your brain doing that, which means you can look at something and have the strongest feeling that you have experienced this before, right down to the dialogue, the individual words. You didn't experience them before. What's happening is that your brain's biochemistry is giving you the feeling that you experienced them before. Just the same thing as when you're dreaming. I'm sure this has happened to you, where you have a dream and it feels like it's going on for 10 days. And then you wake up and you realize maybe that you're on the couch in the middle of the day and that therefore the entire experience could not have lasted any longer than maybe a few minutes. And the reason why it felt like it went on for days is because your brain is what gives you the sense of something going on for days, even when it really does go on for days. You don't get that feeling, the feeling that days go on for days. You don't get that because of days. You get that because your brain gives it that feeling. Your brain does that and can reproduce that even when the days aren't present. You know that perfectly well is true from your own dreams. You've had dreams where you felt forlorn or wounded or terrified. You were sound asleep when that happened. You obviously weren't terrified, right? You can only be terrified of something that's terrifying you consciously. The only reason that you felt terrified in a dream that terrified you is because your brain is in control. It can simulate the feeling of you being terrified, whether it has stimulation to do that or not. Same thing is true of what's going on here. Poor Dante, Gabriele Rossetti, is writing a lovely poem. Sudden Light is a lovely poem about that moment. But no, the answer to his question, has this been thus before, is no. No. The only thing that's happening here is that your brain is giving you that sensation. I love that poets take moments like that, evanescent moments like that, little things like that. I had a memory of a taste, or I saw a street lamp and it reminded me of a land from which I was exiled and to which I can never return. Or even that ball poem that we read the other day, where a boy's ball falls into the harbor and he just stands there, and the poet may not have been quite nice in that poem, but the poet is capturing a moment, the moment when a little boy realizes that some losses are permanent. That ball poem was capturing the moment in which that happens for the first time, when the boy realizes, oh, something has just happened, and no matter how sad I get about it, it can't be fixed. That's the moment that the narrator of that poem is consciously telling you. He is trying to capture that moment when the boy realizes this loss has happened and nothing, not money, not anything else, can fix it. I love it when poets do that. I love it when they capture moments like that, or try to. I just want to make sure we're all on the same playlist here. We're all on the same page. When the author asks whether or not, and shall not thus time's eddying flight still with our lives our love restore, in death's despite, and day and night yield one delight once more? The answer to that question is no. Okay, no. It's still lovely poetry, though. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer about our poetry. It's still a lovely thing. I might stick with the Oxford Book of English Verse tomorrow. Maybe. I'm not quite feeling any wanderlust. I don't have all that many poetry anthologies here, but they are infinite. A good poetry anthology is infinite. This thing is infinite. We could do this for the next 10 years. But ordinarily I read from one anthology for a little while, and I get a little wanderlust to go on to someone else. I don't quite have that yet with the Helen Gardner Oxford Book of English Verse, so I might stick with that. I might read one of those, something else tomorrow, maybe something a little later, or maybe very much earlier, sticking only to my one guideline here for our day's poem, which is that I'd rather not read you anything in translation. Since that adds a whole area, right? That adds a whole other layer. It adds another person to the equation. Whereas it adds a translator to the equation. Whereas we don't want to do that. We want to keep the focus right where it belongs, on me. So aside from that, we have still a lot of ground to cover. I might do that next time as well, and just stick with the Oxford Book of English Verse for a while. But sooner or later, we're going to have to return to that poor, forlorn FSG poetry anthology and give it a chance to redeem itself. We'll do that too. Maybe this weekend we'll go back to the FSG poetry anthology and see if we can't find something that pleases me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.